The entire courtroom thought the judge was protecting a violent criminal, because right when the jury saw the officer hit the ground, the judge ordered the video shut off. Nobody came into that courtroom undecided. Not the reporters, not the jury pool, not even the bailiff. The footage had already spread online weeks earlier. A police officer dragged to the pavement during a midnight arrest. A punch, a struggle, a taser falling loose onto the asphalt. The comments called him an animal before the trial even began. But the man sitting at the defense table didn't look angry. He looked absent, like someone still waking up from a nightmare nobody else experienced. The prosecutor described him as violent, unstable, unpredictable, and honestly, the first 30 seconds of footage made that feel true.
Officer Wilkes could have died that night.
The jury nodded immediately, but the judge didn't. He kept staring at the timestamp on the body cam. Not the violence. The clock. The arrest happened 12 minutes after a car accident. A pickup truck had drifted across 2 lanes before clipping a guardrail. No alcohol, no drugs, no passengers. Just one confused man wandering near the shoulder while blood ran down the side of his neck. Officer Wilkes arrived first, and according to the official report, the suspect refused commands, ignored instructions, then attacked without warning. Simple story, clean story, the kind juries usually understand quickly. But the judge suddenly interrupted before the prosecution could continue the video.
Stop the footage.
The courtroom shifted immediately. Even the prosecutor looked irritated.
Why does the audio disappear for 14 seconds?
The prosecutor answered carefully.
It was technical corruption, Your Honor.
The judge leaned back slowly, like he didn't believe a single word. And for the first time, the courtroom started watching him instead of the defendant. People thought the judge was about to sabotage the case. Online reporters inside the courtroom started posting updates instantly. Judge blocks key footage. Victim officer's family furious. Defense receives unexpected protection. Even the jury pool looked uncomfortable. Because from the outside, it looked wrong. A violent attack caught on camera. And somehow the judge cared more about missing audio than the officer bleeding on the pavement. But the judge asked another question nobody expected.
When did Officer Wilkes first learn the suspect was deaf? These are questions that require immediate answers, Your Honor. There is no evidence the condition mattered in this particular case at all.
The judge's expression changed instantly. Not angry, disappointed, like someone watching adults ignore something painfully obvious. The defense forensic analyst finally explained what happened. The missing 14 seconds weren't corrupted. The audio had been manually muted during evidence processing. And after recovery enhancement, the courtroom heard something nobody expected. Not threats, not aggression. Warnings, multiple warnings. Voices from paramedics at the crash scene yelling over each other.
He can't hear you. He's disoriented, possible head trauma. We need to stabilize him immediately, so get the backboard ready and keep his neck steady now.
Then another voice. Officer Wilkes. Frustrated, impatient.
I said get on the ground now.
The defendant turned too slowly. Confused, panicked, unable to process the commands. And then the officer grabbed him from behind. That was the exact moment the violence started. Not from hatred, from terror. The courtroom finally understood something uncomfortable. The attack was still real. The officer still got hurt. Nothing about the injuries disappeared. But evil and desperation don't move the same way. Evil calculates. Desperation reacts. The body cam showed a man trapped inside confusion, so severe he fought like someone drowning underwater. Not because he wanted power, because he thought he was about to die. And suddenly the courtroom's certainty collapsed. Not into sympathy, into conflict. Because people realized 2 things could exist at once. The officer made reckless decisions, and the defendant still became violent. That's what made the room quiet. Nobody was fully innocent anymore. The judge finally spoke after nearly 10 minutes of silence. No legal speeches. No dramatic outrage. Just exhaustion.
A badge does not remove the responsibility to recognize fear, and we must remember that justice requires us to see the person behind the uniform in every situation.
Nobody moved.
Panic does not erase the damage violence causes. It only serves to prolong the suffering of those who were already hurt by these terrible and senseless actions.
The judge looked directly at the defendant.
You are responsible for what happened after you swung your fist.
Then he turned toward the officer.
And this department is responsible for everything that made that moment unavoidable. We have analyzed the testimony and the evidence presented, and the conclusions remain quite clear.
The room went still. Because nobody won. Not really. The officer left injured. The defendant left convicted of assault, but the department itself was ordered into federal communication training review after evidence showed repeated failure to recognize disability distress during roadside encounters. And somehow, that felt heavier than prison time. After the verdict, people online kept asking the same question. Should panic excuse violence against police? But maybe that wasn't the real question at all. Maybe the real question was this: how many tragedies begin because authority mistakes confusion for defiance? And how many desperate people get labeled evil simply because fear looks violent on camera? If stories like this make you question what justice is supposed to protect, subscribe, because some verdicts don't end arguments. They expose them.